The secret of room 913, the shadow self left behind. I remember the first night I started my night shift at the Meridian Crown Hotel like it was yesterday. It was October 2022, when Singapore was still shaking off the remnants of the pandemic, and life felt like it was trying to snap back into its efficient rhythm. Me, Adrian Koh, 34 years old, had been working as a front desk clerk in hotels for over a decade, but this was my first time on the graveyard shift. Before that, I always preferred day shifts, bustling with guests, everything out in the open, controllable. My life was pretty straightforward, even boring in a way I enjoyed. Living alone in a small apartment near Jurong East, I'd wake up early for a gym session to keep fit, work afternoons, and spend evenings reading about data management systems or basic programming docs. I'm not a tech wizard, but I like things orderly, documented. That's why I always carried a small black leather notebook, its edges worn from years of use, to jot down every detail of my shifts. From guest check-in times to random flickers in the hallway lights or the creak of the elevator at midnight. The Meridian Crown Hotel sits on the edge of the old financial district, near Shenton Way, where sleek modern skyscrapers are sprouting up like weeds, swallowing the outdated buildings from the 1980s. It's a 15-story structure with grey concrete walls, narrow corridors that stretch on like tunnels, and yellowish fluorescent lights that cast long, eerie shadows. Outside, Singapore is a well-oiled machine. Traffic flows smoothly. Streets are spotless, everything monitored by smart systems. But inside the Meridian, especially at night, it feels like a glitch in time, a forgotten crack in the facade. From 0:30 to 5 a.m., the city sleeps deeply. Traffic noises fade to a distant hum, leaving only the low drone of the air conditioning from the basement and the occasional whistle of wind through window cracks. I was the sole guardian, stationed behind the front desk, with an outdated computer screen, monitoring grainy security cameras and the internal booking system. That first shift went smoothly, at least on the surface. I checked emails, organized paperwork, and occasionally glanced out the large front glass doors, where streetlights reflected like ghostly figures gliding by. Around 1 a.m., a late check-in arrived, a middle-aged man in a rumpled suit, dragging a small suitcase, speaking English with a thick Indian accent. He looked exhausted, like he'd just come off a long flight, and requested a room on the 9th floor close to the elevator. I checked the system. Room 912 was available, but as I inputted the details, the system auto-suggested room 913, odd because I distinctly remembered the official floor plan skipped from 912 to 914, like a deliberate omission. I chalked it up to a display glitch and manually selected 912. He took the keycard and headed to the elevator without another word. After he left, I opened my notebook, *1:15 a.m., check-in for Mr. Rayesh Patel, room 912. System suggested 913. Check floor plan post-shift. Lobby temperature, 24 degrees Celsius. Normal, * the next morning. Handing over to Ben, the cheerful but forgetful day shift guy asked about room 913. He chuckled, scratching his head. Oh, that one. It's not on the official maps, but the system still books it. Don't sweat it. It's just an old software bug. No one's stayed there in years. I nodded, but it nagged at me. I hate ambiguity, things undocumented. Back when I was an intern at another hotel near Orchard Road, I'd witnessed a suicide. A middle-aged woman jumping from the 10th floor, and no one had logged the night shift details properly, leading to chaos in the investigation. Ever since, I've documented everything, like a ritual to keep reality from slipping through my fingers. It makes me feel secure, as if the world only unravels when you don't record it. The second shift started much the same. Silence broken only by the ticking clock and the faint buzz of the printer spitting out invoices. Around 2 a.m., the internal phone rang sharply, shattering the quiet. I picked up, and a woman's voice came through, tired and slightly trembling. "This is room 913. My room light is flickering, and the window it won't open." I immediately checked the system. No one booked into 913 that night, not even in the week's history. I assumed she'd misspoken her room number and asked for confirmation, polite but firm. She repeated, 913. The door unlocked itself at midnight, and I hear footsteps outside. My heart skipped a beat, not from fear, but from the irrationality of it. I said I'd send maintenance up, but night shifts were so low. The tech guy slept in the basement, and I didn't want to wake him unless it was an emergency. I decided to check myself. The old elevator groaned as it ascended to the 9th floor, and the hallway there was always colder than the others, despite identical AC settings. The fluorescent lights hummed faintly, casting a sickly yellow glow along the narrow corridor. Room 913's door was ajar, unlocked, with no light spilling out. I knocked 3 times, calling out, "Front desk here, do you need assistance?" Silence. Pushing it open gently, the room was empty, bed pristine, untouched. Towels folded neatly, no sign of occupancy. The air was sterile, chilling, like an abandoned hospital room. I tested the window, locked tight, no issues. Back at the desk, I pulled the system logs. Door 913 logged as auto-unlocked. At 0:30 a.m., no valid keycard swipe. And the 9th floor hallway camera showed interference exactly 17 seconds at 2:11 a.m., right after the call. My hand shook slightly as I noted. Asterisk, 2:11 a.m., inspected room 913. System log, door unlocked at 0:30, no keycard. 9th floor camera interference for 17 seconds at 2:11. Phantom call from non-existent room. Check phone headset, asterisk. From then on, I paid more attention to the 9th floor. The hallway wasn't just cold. It had an odd smell, not musty, but metallic mixed with old paper, like an overheated printer. The security cameras were outdated, footage grainy, sometimes flashing white like electromagnetic static. I brought it up with the manager, Mrs. Elaine Tan, a woman in her 50s, always in a crisp black suit, hair in a tight bun, voice calm to the point of mechanical. She's the type who seems to know everything but reveals nothing. When I mentioned room 913, she peered at me over her gold-rimmed glasses and said, "Adrian, the system doesn't err. There are just some data points not meant for us." She repeated it like a mantra, then pivoted to last month's revenue, as if my question had evaporated. Gradually, strange guests started appearing, and things got weirder. First was a young woman, about 25, checking in at 1:45 a.m. during a heavy rainstorm. She spoke fluent Mandarin, draped in a soaked long coat, requesting a 9th floor room for quiet. The system suggested 913 again. This time, I selected it and it accepted seamlessly, as if waiting. She took the keycard, smiled wearily, and ascended. The next morning, logs showed checkout at 4 a.m., but reviewing the hallway camera as she left, her shadow didn't sync with her body. It dragged behind, elongated like pulled taffy, then faded into the wall at the corridor's bend before she entered the elevator. I blamed the lighting, but replays confirmed it. Her shadow seemed to linger, clinging to room 913's door. Detailed note, asterisk 4:05 a.m. guest. Ms. Leeway checked out of 913. Camera, shadow desynchronized, elongated and vanished. Hallway lights checked normal. System log, 2:11 a.m. Camera 921. Interference, 17 seconds. No motion detected. Asterisk a week later, an elderly Japanese man checked in, around 70, in a traditional yukata under a coat. He said little, just nodded for the 913 key. He looked like he was fleeing something, eyes distant. Leaving at 3:30 a.m., the camera showed no shadow at all from the start, just a hazy figure walking without footprints on the carpet. Checked the floor later, spotless. I started logging more intensively, interspersing with system extracts. System log extract, asterisk 2:28 a.m. door 913, opened by unidentified keycard, guest, Hiroshi Tanaka, stay duration, 1 hour 45 minutes. Asterisk, these guests had no obvious commonalities, young, old, men, women from India, China, Japan, even a British couple. But post 913, they changed. Some grew quieter, gazes vacant. The British man, after checkout, returned to the desk and whispered, "Ever feel like you've left a piece behind? The part society rejects." I asked, "What part?" He smiled sadly. "The weak one, the failure. Singapore has no room for that." He left, and watching him go, his shadow dimmed under the streetlights. I started questioning my own reality. Singapore is a perfect machine, everything controlled, from traffic to human emotions. We're taught efficiency, success, to discard flaws in ourselves. But the Meridian felt like a code glitch, where filtered out parts lingered. Room 913 wasn't a murder site or typical haunt. It severed people from their egos' regrets, denied memories, the what-if versions that failed. Shadows represented that. Vulnerability, mistakes, defeats not allowed in a flawless society. They got left in the room, sometimes wandering the halls, causing camera static at 2:11 a.m. I spent nights alone at the desk, reviewing footage in the dim light. At 2:11 a.m., always 17 seconds of interference. In those blips, faint shapes, ownerless shadows moving independently, hugging corridor walls like seeking hosts. Once, checking the 9th floor, I heard whispers from the elevator. Leave it behind, don't carry it. I blamed fatigue, recorded it on my phone land playback, revealed my own voice, but sadder, from another self. Notebook entry edges starting to fade. Asterisk 3 a.m, whispers in elevator. My voice, mental health check. Log, 2:11 a.m, interference, blurry image, unidentified shadow. Asterisk, Mrs. Tan began avoiding me. One day, she summoned me to her office, door closed, tone stern. Adrian, stop digging into the 9th floor. The system handles those things. We're operators, not fixers. I pressed for 913's history. She paused, then handed an old paper file from her drawer. Check-ins from 1989. Hotels opening, hundreds of names, none staying over a night. From everywhere, and none returned. Then, midway, my name, Adrian Koh. Check-in October 15th, 2019, 3 years ago, when I worked elsewhere, never set foot here. My heart froze. Flashes in my mind, a alternate me, broken after that old suicide witness, coming here to shed that ego. I bolted to the 9th floor, master key in hand, flung open 913, pitch black, but presence felt soft breathing, metallic scent stronger. I flipped the light and my shadow on the wall didn't move with me. It stood, stared, then slowly stepped from the wall, a separate entity. Final system log extract, asterisk 2:11 a.m, camera, 9:1, interference, image, Adrian Koh exiting 913, checkout, undefined, asterisk, I'm here now, logging my last shift in this notebook, but the pages are fading, like erasure. Who is writing this? Which version of me? The one fitting society's mold, or the one left in 913, roaming halls waiting? And if I leave, will my shadow follow home? Notebook ends here, final page barely legible, as if the writer's hand is dissolving.